In our previous video on storing aliquots of samples for later use, we ran samples through the aliquot DNA samples step. And now I'm going to show you how you resume workflow on one of those samples. In this example, the next step is moving into the Nextera DNA library prep for Tegment DNA. So I'm going to search for the sample that we created aliquots of yesterday. And here I see its submitted sample, and then the 4 derived samples, actual aliquots. You see that one actually did move on in its workflow. It's sitting in the queue for Tegment DNA. And in this example, I just want to show you how we resume workflow for one of the other aliquots. So when I expand the search results on this derived sample, I see that it was generated by Aliquot DNA samples, that step, and I've got this resume workflow option. I click resume workflow, I click again to confirm, or if I didn't mean to do that, I can just click off of there and it goes back to the starting state. But let's resume workflow on this and I'll show you what happens. We click confirm, and now we see this sample has now been queued for Tegment DNA, just like the first aliquot. You will now see in the Tegment DNA queue the sample that we have just requeued, aliquot 2. Now what about resuming workflow on an aliquot that came out of a step that had multiple potential next steps? As an example, I've configured the Tegment DNA step when samples finish it that they can either go to step 2, step 3, or step 4. And I stored one of the aliquots coming out of step 1 for later use. So here we see the first aliquot is sitting in the queue for cleanup of Tegmented DNA, and this aliquot has been stored for later use. I can tell that because it's not queued for anything and it's only been created by a step, and we have the resume workflow icon, which now is a little bit different. It's got a drop down arrow because when I resume work on this second aliquot, I'm given the same choices as to what step to resume workflow from as I was when I was originally assigning next steps. So here I can choose to have it catch up. I will click to confirm that, and we now see that it as well is queued just like the other aliquot.